Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we'll be playing another Magic 30 mixed up Premier Draft, basically Magic Arena's version of Chaos Draft, where we have cards from all over the place, all kinds of different sets showing up in one draft format. Without further ado, let's just get into our pack 1 pick 1, and I think I'm going to take Blossom Prancer here. Very solid upfront value. 5 mana for a 4/4 reach. When it hits the board, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You can reveal a creature or enchantment from among them and put it into your hand. So 5 mana 4/4 reach draws you another creature card. On average, in a chaos draft like this, we'll have a lot of creatures, probably not a lot of enchantments, but that's still great value, and if you don't manage to draw an extra card off of this, you can just gain 4 life instead. Really sweet 2 for 1. There's other very quality cards in here like Spit Flame for great removal. Rejuvenator's a 2 for 1 ramp card that's very nice. Some very solid stuff, but Blossom Prancer is certainly my favorite. Very nice to have just a 4/4 reach for 5. That's a solid deal for the mana cost that also digs through and draws you a card. Replaces itself in card economy, in card advantage, all that good stuff. For pack 1, pick 2 now, we've got another decent removal spell. Scorchmark's a little bit overcosted for what it does. You'd love it to be 1 mana, like the removal in Crimson Vow is, the Searing Bolt or whatever it's called. But it's still pretty fine. There's also Blood Tallow Candle, again a bit overcosted for removal, but kind of take what you can get in mixed up Premier Draft. Those would be fine options. We could go for Ancient Lumberknot, go for green-black big booty stuff, which I don't think is going to overlap in a lot of different sets with a ton of synergy, but even just treating it as a 4 mana 4/4 is fine, but I guess a 4 mana 4/4 that's hard to cast is awkward. This is kind of a bummer of a pack. There's nothing I really want to pick 2, honestly. Maybe Weight of Memory for card draw. I guess I'll just take the Scorchmark. Not super pumped about that pack though. Pack 1, pick 3, I am pretty pumped about Boulder Branch Golem or Scrapwork Cohort. These are both flexible, colorless cards that are very good value. The Cohort, if you can unearth it later, is fantastic, and the Boulder Branch is just really nice and flexible if you're in green. There's also the Modern Age out of blue, which is fantastic. I think I take Boulder Branch Golem since we're already 1 card deep into green with Blossom Prancer, and Boulder Branch and Modern Age are pretty equivalent in power level. Maybe Modern Age is a bit better. It's really flexible, gives you that looting, and looting is certainly good in these mixed up Premier Drafts because you're likely to end up with some mediocre filler. Being able to discard the filler to draw better cards is nice, but Boulder Branch Golem is a fantastic way to stabilize that has the flexibility of coming down in the mid game if you need it as a 4 mana 3/3, so I'm still going to take the Boulder Branch here, but I think these 3 are the best cards. This kind of corner up here is all fantastic stuff. Jukai Naturalist is pretty good in Kamigawa, but we're in a mixed up Premier Draft where we're not going to end up with that many enchantments, so I'm not super pumped about that. Alright, some more great flexible green cards. I think I'm just going to take one of those again. Take a Jukai Preserver here. 4 mana for a 4/4 by itself if you put the counter on itself, which is fine. Or if you need that +1/+1 counter somewhere else, you can put it somewhere else with its ability. Like the Preserver a lot. Predation Steward is also a fine 2-drop if we need a filler 2-drop. Rendhorn for a filler 5-drop. Could take Get-To Chronicler if I want to stick to red-green. This is fine because if you draw it later in the game, you can pick up one of your removal spells to recast, which is pretty nice. Also take Diregraph Ghoul as the biggest creature for its mana cost. But if I go off color, I think I like Gallant Cavalry and like Academy Drake a little more. 2 creatures off 1 card and then just 1 really big flyer. But I like Jukai Preserver a lot. Very flexible card. It can even work as a combat trick with its discard effect. So we'll take the Jukai Preserver and stick to green. Pack 1, pick 5. I like Dreamtail Heron a lot, even if we are not drafting a lot of Ikoria where we can mutate onto this a bunch more times. We still get to use this as an aura that turns something into a flyer and draws us a card. Mainly turns something into a 3/4 flyer, draws us a card. If we get some cheap little non-human creatures, this can still be pretty good. So I think I like Dreamtail Heron here. I don't think Geothermal Kami is going to have a lot of synergies. It works with our Jukai Preserver, But we're going to need to get a lot of enchantments for this to be worth it, and I don't know that's going to happen. Could take a Tranquil Expanse, because you can definitely do a lot of splashing in these mixed up Premier drafts, but I'm going to take the Heron and see if we can get that to pan out for us. Strangling Spores is fine, but a little bit inefficient as a removal. Dreadmaw is a very solid, just 6/6 trampling finisher. Doing okay on finishers. We've got a 4-drop, 5-drop, 6-drop already. Furnace Strider is a great aggressive finisher, because it comes out with haste and gives our next creature haste. Like all these a lot. Dreadmaw probably should get the nod over Furnace Strider just because it sticks to green, which is our primary color right now, but I really like Furnace Strider. I think I like it enough better than Dreadmaw to take it, since we are at least one card deep into red. So that's why we're taking that over like Spores here. Okay, pack 1, pick 7. Skittering Surveyor, probably like an MVP in this format, but this pack is really good. There's Final Payment and Luminous Bonds for removal. Fairy Duelist is like a creature plus a combat trick. Windstorm Drake, probably great in this format. Flyers in general are pretty nice. Really good pack. I think we got to take Skittering Surveyor though. Whatever we end up playing, that's going to make sure that we can help splash in whatever powerful cards we pick up. Pretty important when we're going to have a pile of cards that are not super cohesive in general. We're going to have to pick up some cheap creatures at some point soon. And there's a cheap creature, Blanchwood Prowler. Certainly take that. Not seeing anything else in this pack that looks better to me. Skull Bomb would be solid if we are definitely playing blue, but blue is kind of a maybe here. Green is a definite color for us though. And Blanchwood Prowler is pretty solid in the color. 2 mana for a 1/1, you mill 3. Ideally, you mill a land out of those cards, so it's a 2 mana 1/1 that draws another land. It's a pretty good deal. I don't think Fade into Antiquity is going to be main deckable in mixed up Premier Draft. Definitely not as main deckable as it was in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Could take a Scamp, but I'm not going to have a ton of non-creature spells, so I guess I just take a Recluse. Just some beef. 5 mana, 6/5, has to keep attacking. Just jam that thing in there. Alright, I don't really like any of these cards. Suit Up is the best, but we'll take Razor Maw to cut green out. It's a fine card if we pick up some graveyard synergies. If we don't have any graveyard synergies, it's pretty bad. Scrapwork Cohort came all the way back around, and worst case scenario, it's a 4 mana 3/1 that spits out a 1/1. It's pretty good. Maybe it's not as good as Rock's Oracle still. Anything that draws you a card when it hits the board is pretty good, but only 2 toughness is a hard sell. Maybe I'm overdrafting Cohort, but I'm going to take it over Rock's Oracle here. Maybe we just put an island in here with Skittering Surveyor, so we have 2 white sources to randomly unearth it later. Okay, Renthorn's fine, but I've got a lot of 5s. I'm actually going to take the Cavalry here. Curve purposes, I don't think I'm playing Renthorn over any of these 5-drop cards. Maybe it's better than Recluse? Yeah, you know what, I'll actually take Renthorn, because it might be better than Recluse, because it's a lot more flexible. And it's only 1 less power if I just play it as a 5/5. Take a Tranquil Expanse to help get the cohorts unearthed. Pretty happy about that. I guess Boulder Branch is also sort of a 4 mana creature if we need it to be. The curve is still pretty top heavy here though. Looking for removal and cheap creatures. As we move into pack number 2. Pick number 1. We don't find any removal or cheap creatures outside of a double black card, which is not really splashable. Murder would be great, but we'd have to pivot pretty hard here. Could splash an Emoti, Celebrant of Bounty. It's going to be my 1000th 5 mana card, but she is pretty great value. 5 mana 3/1 Cascade up front. You don't need to play any more cards for her to be good, because a 5 mana 3/1 draw a card and immediately cast it Solid deal. I'll take a Modi here. I'm not really missing out on anything in green or red. So we're not missing anything out of our primary colors. It's something off color. It's either try to splash an Moti or maybe pivot to green-black with Murder. I am only 3 cards deep into red. I should take the Murder here. Removal's like really important. So if pivoting into black gives us some excellent removal, maybe green-black is where it's at over green-red. And it will happen because there's an instant speed removal spell again. Destroy a creature or planeswalker. Not often going to get cost reduced when we're drafting a bunch of cards kind of at random. We're just throwing darts on the dartboard here. But still, 5 mana instant destroy a creature is fine. And this is really splashable removal too, which is excellent. So even if black doesn't become a core color of our deck, we can splash that in pretty easily. Okay. If I remember right, Tashana's Wayfinder is pretty decent value. 3 mana 2/2 draw land or 3 mana 3/3 surveil one. That's pretty good. Yeah, we can take the Tashana's Wayfinder because we're definitely in green and that's a very solid value play. Definitely better than Semut. Maybe there's a better red card. I don't think so. Rigging Runner and Infiltrator both seem worse. Yeah. Wayfinder seems pretty easy. Moss Viper, 1 mana 1/1 Death Touch seems fine. I don't think Grey Merchant of Asphodel is going to be very good in here, because even if we end up being green-black, this will be our first black permanent, so we won't be draining our opponent for a lot of life. We're not going to have a high devotion to black in general. So I'll just take the Moss Viper. Thriving Rhino is a deceptively good card. Definitely looks like you need a lot of energy for it, but by itself, the first time it attacks, it's a 3/4. Just a 3 mana 3/4 is a pretty great deal, so I like the Rhino a lot here. We could take Blood-Soaked Altar, but I'm still a little bit hesitant to fully commit on my secondary color here, so that if we open like a super good red rare or black rare next pack, we can go either way. So when there is a solid green card, I'm going to keep doing that. So we'll take the Thriving Rhino. Now we can take another green card, I think. Generous Stray is decent value. Blossom Dryad is fine ramp. In general, I don't think we need a ton of ramp. We have Surveyor, Wayfinder, and Prowler that could draw us an extra land. I think I'll just take the Generous Stray. Just get a flat out piece of card draw there. Do I have enough humans for this, or is it just a 4 mana 3/3 trample? I feel like it's just a 4 mana 3/3 trample. I have 1 human? Yeah, that's not good. We'll take a Maulfist squad. Definitely better than the red cards here. 4 mana 3/1 menace and a 1/1 token, or a 4 mana 4/2 menace. Both of those are fine. Not going to have enough life gain to use the Lurking Roper super well. Take a Sanitarium Skeleton if we end up in black. Fine little Graveyard Recursion card. We've got a little bit of Self-Mill to go with it. Dungeoneer was good in Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, but that's because you could get the critical mass of venturing into the dungeon that you needed to hit solid effects. In this format, it's just going to be a 4 mana 3/4 scry one, which is pretty bad. Lawrun Enforcer is pretty good, though. I don't think Barrier Bones is great. So we'll probably get cut even if we end up in black. So I'll take the Lawrun Enforcer just as probably the strongest card. Just a pretty efficient tapper. Doesn't hit tokens, but it can hit most anything else. And speaking of pretty efficient creatures, I like Dauntless Cathar a lot. 3/2 that trades off, then you get a 1/1 flyer out of the grave, but I think I need to work on my mana curve a little bit to where if I do end up in green-white, taking the 2-drop creature would be good. This Fire Weaver, the Sergeant, pretty unplayable red cards. The Foul Bloods isn't great in black, so now we're opening ourselves up to a pivot again into green-white. Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, Wizard. Let's see. We have like none of those. The party stuff's going to suck. Maybe Rallier's better than Hero of the Pride, but again, if we pivot to green-white, I want to make sure I have 2 drops. So we're just going to grab a bunch of random white 2 drops, and then I guess whatever rare we happen to open next pack, we can just move into that color. It would be the hardest to move into blue, but if it's a really good rare, we could do it. But we could definitely do green white, green black, or green red. So let's see what it's going to be. Well, it's a blue rare and it's not a good one. But it's fine. Oh, this pack as the whole is kind of a massive miss. There's a bunch of decent blue stuff, but not good enough to pivot to blue when we have 1 blue card. And that's the only color that has decent stuff. Every other color is left with kind of garbage. There's a 1 mana 1/3, 1 mana 1/2. The Infernal Pet you have to double spell to do anything with. 7 Dwarves, which is just a 2 mana 2/2 because we're not going to get more copies of it in Mixed Up Premier Draft, and a 3 mana 2/4. What a complete miss of a pack. Good grief. I guess Duskwielder's the best potentially on color card, but it ain't great. Now there's a Demon Bolt out of red. Scornblade Berserker in black is pretty good. And if I go black instead of red, I have Murder and Deadly Alliance instead of Scorchmark and Demon Bolt, which is better. Yeah, I'll go for the Scornblade Berserker here. Pretty good with like Generous Stray and Blanchwood Prowler and all these random expendable creatures we might have. Skittering Surveyor. Rosethorn Acolyte for some fixing and ramp. Helps with the Cohort Unearth and if we want to splash any of this stuff in, but I don't think any's really getting splashed. It's all kind of like good filler, not really splashable stuff. Could also take Dawnheart Mentor instead, since I don't think I'm doing a ton of splashing anyway. 3 mana for a 0/4 and a 1/1 and a potential activated ability later. It's kind of a lot of stuff. Take the Dawnheart Mentor. Rise of Extus, 6 mana sorcery, exile a creature. Seems fine. If we wheel Pest Summoning, then it'll be really good. If we can actually learn a lesson off of it, then it'll be great. Take that, get another removal spell. The other thing that's nice about it is we can play it if we're in white or black, but I'm pretty sure at this point we're in black, now that we started taking Scornblade Berserker and stuff. Now a Ranger's Guile can kind of counter a removal spell. Seems fine. It's that or pivot back into white with like Luminous Bonds or something here. Which I think I'm done pivoting around. Let's just go green-black. Finally. Make our decision. Basically have a whole deck after I take this. That's 23 null-man cards. There you go. Here's our deck. We did it. And there we go. Rewarded with an Elvish Vat Keeper. 3 mana for a 3/3 Incubate 2. Then you can flip that Incubator as a 4/4 if you spend the 5 mana on it. But 3 mana for a 3/3 that comes with a little flippable 2/2 is fine. We're not going to be able to do as crazy things as you can usually do with it, because usually you have a lot more Incubators, and that's not going to happen in the mixed up draft, but still good. Combat Professor would have been great if we were green-white as well, though. Another Rise of Extus, and we hope that nobody else is drafting the lessons out of this one pack that has Strixhaven cards. That's probably a bit bold, but I like having more removal, so probably supposed to be Thespian. It fills out the curve well. Yeah, I'll just take Thespian. A second 6 mana removal spell might be a bit much, especially when we might not even get a single lesson. I'm not going to play Insatiable Appetite or Scoundrel, so let's hold down that Alt key and see how much I own of everything. I already have them all. Well, if that is the case, I will rare draft an uncommon for Vault Progress. Alright, I don't think we're playing Razor Maw. Let's go ahead and cut that now. Here's our pack of nothing but decent blue cards. And it is still nothing but decent blue cards. We already own all these, so let's just draft an uncommon for Vault Progress. There's another white dual land, so we can play a single plains and very, very easily unearth a cohort at some point. Village Rites might be okay in here, though. But this can also scry for us later, which is nice. I'm still going to go for the campus. Maybe I should have considered that we have some amount of mana fixing and actually taken like one of those. I guess I got the final payment. All right, we'll do that. I was going to say maybe should have taken one of those like Luminous Bonds or something for a random white removal spell to splash in. But we did get the Pest Summoning back. Yeah, Pest Summoning to go with Rise of Extus, so we can learn that lesson anytime we Rise of Extus. So it is flat out draw a card when we cast it. Let's go. Let's go. That's pretty cute. I'm into that. Alright. Well, another random nonsense pile, as you do, as you get in mixed up Premier drafts. Nothing else I really want to splash in. Definitely want to keep Pest Summoning in the sideboard for Rise of Extus. 42 cards, we only have to cut 2. Keep the final payment. We keep 1 plains with Skittering Surveyor, and we have 2 white duels as well, so it's 4 white sources for the cohort plus final payment, and that is the only thing that needs white mana. The cohort doesn't even need the white mana, it just likes to have it late game. But we can cast the front half without it, so I'm probably just cutting some random 1 mana dorks, I imagine. Definitely the Dusk Wielder, because we're like grinding it out with all these mid-range 2-for-1 things, mainly, and then like Macabre Waltz late game for Graveyard Recursion. I assume I have like 17 creatures. Yeah, I've got like 19, so we just cut 2 creatures. So let's cut the, oh, not the Berserker, I like that one. Cut the Dusk Wielder for sure, which doesn't really do anything unless you're getting super aggro in the early game. Can hit your opponent for 2 every time it attacks, but that's if you're spending extra mana into it, which means you're not spending that mana playing more creatures. And again, it's just a 1/2, so as soon as your opponent plays like a 2-mana 2/2, it's just done. It's done all of its work. So we'll drop that. Could drop Skeleton, but at least the Skeleton is like good if we mill it, and good with final payment as sacrificial fodder. It's fine for chump blocking over and over again in the late game. But I like Berserker, Moss Viper, Thespian, and Blanchwood Prowler all better than it. I like Dawnheart Mentor, Generous Stray, Thriving Rhino, Wayfinder, Vat Keeper, Skittering Surveyor, like all the 3 drops. We don't have a lot of humans for Provisioner, so that looks pretty bad in here. I guess our human count did go up a little bit in the last pack, which was nice. I think these are the potential cuts. Cut a Skeleton or Provisioner. 5 humans total. I think I will cut Provisioner. We can keep Sanitarium Skeleton in here. And call it a deck there. Alright, here's the final look at our deck list for today. It's going to be another green-black mid-range pile with a little splash of some white removal and the cohort's unearth ability. So again, lots of nice little 2-for-1 plays. Cards like Skittering Surveyor, Tishana's Wayfinder, and Blanchwood Prowler that can hit the board and draw land for us, all off of 1 card. Generous Stray also hits the board and draws us a card. So lots of 2-for-1s like that. Blossom Prancer as well. Some beef in the endgame with Boulder Branch Golem, Rendhorn. Prancer's decently beefy. Preserver can put a counter wherever we need it. and a collection of solid removal: Rise of Extus, Deadly Alliance, Murder, and Final Payment. And with the Rise of Extus, we even have a lesson that we can learn for in the sideboard, which is not something you always have in mixed up Premier Draft. So we can actually pick up a Pest Summoning when we cast Rise of Extus in any game, which is pretty cute. Pretty cute stuff overall, but again, not a ton to say about the decks in mixed up Premier Draft. This is just our pile of solid cards in our 2 colors again, in our 3 colors really, is what you usually want to do. So we just hope we draw our better cards and our opponent draws our weaker cards, but we'll see how it all pans out for us as we head into the gameplay. Here we are on the play for game 1. Not a super keepable hand. If I hit any land, I get a Thriving Rhino, which is a good start, but we need double black to get to Murder. We need a black source very quickly. I do have 8 in the deck, but I think there's a little too much risk to this hand. I will take the mulligan. Hand's pretty much just as bad, mana-wise, but at least I can just have exclusively green cards in the hand. So I'm just hoping to draw lands, period. I don't need to like specifically draw swamps or anything. A lot of 2-for-1 cards that can help make up for the fact that I've mulliganed here. Plus being on the play also puts us kind of down a card, since the player on the draw will draw a card in their first turn. So we definitely want to get some mileage out of these 2-for-1 cards. Blanchwood Prowler's really got to hit us a land here. And it will. I've only got 2 white cards in the deck, and playing a tap land next turn would be a pretty big detriment, so I'm actually going to take the Forest over the Tranquil Expanse here, so that I don't have to play a tap land turn 3 with all of these 3-mana plays. There's a Snare Spinner from our opponent. Cool, I do hit a Swamp, so unfortunate. We could have had the Tranquil Expanse and just played the Swamp this turn. I will still play the Swamp, and I think I'm just jamming out a Rhino to start setting in with a 3-4, because now I don't need to guarantee that I have a land next turn, because I know I have one. So I don't need to play Wayfinder or Generous Stray digging for lands right now. We can just play our biggest creature for the turn. There's a Frostlinks to slow down the Thriving Rhino, which definitely works. We'll take the 1 damage from Snare Spinner. We do hit another land. Play the Wayfinder here as our biggest creature that also gives us a bit of value when it hits the board. And it does just draw us another land. Starting to flood out a bit here, but Wayfinder's still playing out better than Generous Stray would have. We get a 2-2 and draw a card instead of a 1-2 and draw a card, which is nice. Our opponent has the Archway commons with green, blue, and black mana already, so now they have access to any of the 5 colors. They can't have all 5 at once, but they can have 4 of 5. They can go black, green, blue, and red, or white. Drop my Rendhorn. I think I do want to just play it as a 5-5. Pass from there. Leave in the dust to bounce the Rendhorn and draw them a card, and with Quandrix Apprentice, that's very good value, because the Apprentice also draws them a land. Moss Viper is pretty solid here, because now I can play Rendhorn plus the Viper, because I don't want to play Berserker when I don't have the mana to sacrifice whatever I'm putting the counter on. I'm attacking with Rhino now because of the value that Quandrix Apprentice can give them. I think I should have made this attack last turn. Like, I don't like the idea of trading a 3-4 down into a 2-2, but I forgot about Quandrix Apprentice's pretty valuable ability. I've had that definitely take over some games in Strixhaven, just pulling all the lands out of your deck over time. Pretty consistent value, so I think I should have attacked with Rhino last turn and hopefully found that kill on Apprentice earlier. But still fine to get out of the way. So they could kill my Rendhorn if they double block it with a 3-3 and a 2-2. think that's fine for me. I could also just put a counter on Renhorn to make it a 6/6 and they have to block with the whole board, but they still kill it and only lose 2 creatures. So it's the same outcome, whether or not it has another counter on it. I guess I should Generous Stray before I do anything else. Got another Swamp in hand, we'll tap double black. Finds a Blossom Prancer, don't have the mana for that and will not regardless. Yeah, I think Rendhorn for 2 creatures would be fine here. So we just deal 5, and I think I'd rather cash in the Berserker to draw more cards than actually buff something. I'm gonna have to spend double green next turn. I'll drop the Forest. Pass from there. There's an Evolution Sage. That is a very big deal with their Pixie Illusionist as well. So we're gonna have to find one of our 3 removal spells that's left, because Final Payment's on bottom, so we can't find that. But there's still 3 more removal spells. Probably have to kill the Illusionist instead of the Evolution Sage, which is a bit of a bummer. It means if they get another creature with +1/+1 counters on it, it could be a pretty big deal, but if I just kill the Evolution Sage, I'm still gonna die to the Illusionist. Blossom Prancer will be reach to block Illusionist, but it's going to be too small. Because Illusionist is going to be a 5/5 next turn. Find a Boulder Branch Golem. These are 5 non-removal spells, so now there's 3 removal spells in the top. It's 5 on the bottom, in the top 15, so 1 out of every 5 cards is removal. Not horrible odds, but I still need to find the removal pretty quickly, which is not fantastic. I think it's just the Rendhorn again. Hit them down to 10. Guess I should see if I can hit anything here, because it's not like we're going to chump and draw a card. They're just not attacking on the ground. There's Daggerback Basilisk. There's a Highland Game. Random dorks on the ground. They did not have a land to play here, so they don't attack with Illusionist because they don't get to make it a 5/5. That gives us another little bit of breathing room, but we do not hit the removal spell still. Now they're just going to trade a 2/2 Death Touch into our 5/5, which is not very exciting. I think we're just waiting now. They can Spellkeeper, Weird Bounce, or Blossom Prancer get an attack in. But if they bounce the Blossom Prancer, we get to draw a card off of it again, so that doesn't seem good for our opponent. So much better to just like play a land and get in. But obviously if they don't draw the land, then I guess they can consider it. But I'm at 21, so I don't think I would do it. If I were my opponent, I would just wait till I hit a land. Save the Leave in the Dust at instant speed. And that is what they're going to do. We hit a Scrapwork Cohort. Which doesn't really do anything. I guess they only get a free kill on one of these. They can stack up a pretty good double block on one of them though. Or triple block. Okay, they're just going to bounce the Rendhorn, that's fine. We clear out the Basilisk, replay the Rendhorn. Double blue and 1 counterspell now. Yep, Urza's rebuff. Well, that's annoying. Drop the Cohort and pass the turn. There's the land, so Illusionist is a 6/6, because it's not only a land, it's an Evolving Wilds with the Evolution Sage. which is filthy. Skeletal swarming. Ah, okay, so we lose. I don't have anything in this deck that can blow up a skeletal swarming. So they get a 1/1 that has to attack. They attack with it, I block and kill it. Then they get 2 2/1s that have to attack. I block and kill those. They get 2 more 2/1s every single turn. I guess I can actually block all the skeletons every turn. We cannot draw removal for the life of us. There's 3 left in the next 11 now. I've got like 1 turn left to find it though. I need to put a stop on my upkeep so I can scry into the removal. Because the only one that I can't cast... Yikes. The only one that I can't cast is Final Payment, which... I mean, I guess let's do the math, because I have a Rise of Extus in here. Yeah, I'll have the 6 mana up. I can cast any removal spell in our deck, except the one that's on the bottom. After using Campus. There we go, Rise of Extus. Boom. Let's go. That is massive. But now I gotta worry about this skeletal swarming, which is a problem. I had a solution to the skeletal swarming, and it was to block with a 4/4 and a 1/2 skeleton every turn. Block with Sanitarium Skeleton and my 4/4. But they found removal to kill my 4/4, so I can't do that anymore. Now I have to like legitimately lose a creature every turn to this thing, which is really bad. Yeah, I mean, we had the board state that could deal with the swarming, but now we are legitimately going to get bombed out by it. Dawnhard Mentor. It's pretty good. 6 mana to use this? Okay, now I can block 2 skeletons and not lose a creature. If I have the 6 mana up, which I guess I won't. Because I need to be able to trade a Sanitarium Skeleton into a skeleton and then also have 6 up to kill something with Dawnhard Mentor. Guess we're not quite there, so we don't use Dawnhard Mentor's ability just yet. But we're getting there. Now I have to not die to a gigantic branch of Boseiju as well. The Evolution Sage is getting pretty big, but we have a Moss Viper to deal with one of those two, the branch or the Sage. 11 mana. 4 mana to pick up and recast the skeleton and 6 mana to use on Dawnhard Mentor. I think we do this. No, I need them to not have 3 skeletons next turn, so I have to kill both again. This thing is nasty. But it is a rare, so it should be. Oops, I've accidentally minimized Arena. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. If I don't reanimate a Sanitarium skeleton, I would have the mana to double buff a Moss Viper. 7 power Death Touch Trample. Spooky, but still not going to be anywhere near lethal. Puts them to 3 maximum if they just don't block it at all. If they block it with Highland Game, they go to like 6, because it stops 1 damage plus they gain 2. And I am in a position where I'm going to have to just Moss Viper one of these big creatures on blocks. I think that's the play. I could be scrying in my upkeep, but that soaks up some of the mana for Skeleton and Dawnheart Mentor shenanigans, which I think I need. But if it means scrying out of these lands, it would probably be good. I guess if I get enough lands, then I can do all of this. 5, 6 mana for this. I still don't quite have enough to do the scrying. Now I could actually get some amount of trample damage in. To really worry about a crackback in their next turn, though. Maybe that's kind of a thing, though. I mean, what do I have? What are my outs here to this whole position? I don't really think I have much. I've got a bunch more removal spells. Macabre Waltz could do it, maybe. Yeah, pick up a Blossom Prancer, Boulder Branch or something. Probably just digging for Macabre Waltz. Maybe we do play it long then still. So now that I can do Skeleton during there, I can probably Campus. If I Campus now, I still have 9 mana up. 8 mana, I guess. That's enough to play Skeleton and buff with Mentor. You know what? No, I'm just going to draw flat again. Because I get to a position here where if I just draw flat, then I scry during their end step instead, right? If I have the mana to scry and Mentor and Skeleton. And even lands are fine here with all this mana sink stuff. I'm 1 mana off from being able to put the Skeleton back into my hand and scry with the Silver Quill Campus. I'm still 1 mana off from that. So I guess I'd rather just buff the Skeleton so I don't have to spend the 1 on it next turn. There's a Thespian, that's a good one. Surveil twice here, it's a big deal. There's the Macabre Waltz, it's the big draw. I needed to hold one of these lands though, I keep being stupid with that, but I can use the Skeleton and then also pick it back up. So we just make sure to have a Skeleton in our hand and we can do that instead. Opponent scries to the top, that cannot be a good sign for us. Do the thing, might just be a counter spell off the top. So let's pick up Boulder Branch Golem. 7-12 mana. I can still do that double buff. That's it. Do I get a Death Toucher for the double buff? Just get a reach creature in case. Reach creature plus gain 4. Or Vat Keeper gives me 2 more creatures total, which is a big deal too. I definitely don't want to draw more cards, so I don't think it's Scornblade Berserker. I'm gonna go Boulder Branch and Prancer. Probably doesn't matter because they might have just put a counter on top. Yep. And it's an incredible counter. It gives them a creature too. Yikes. They're running the double green, double blue counter creature in their 4-color deck also? God dang it. Talk about getting absolutely got. They are milling out 1 turn before us, so I guess that is our only hope left, but it's so unlikely. Because they're scrying every turn because of Evolution Sage with Glistener Seer. So if they have anything to get through this board state and finish us off, they are going to draw into it soon. I don't know what I'm even scrying into at this point. Let's just draw Jukai Preserver. Doesn't really do anything. I don't think anything left really does. Still play it or hold it as a combat trick? I probably still play it. I'll still have the mana to use Dawnheart Mentor and put Skeleton back in hand. They have another counterspell? They might. They're thinking an awful long time about this. They do. Count unless I pay 10. Alright. Whirler Virtuoso with Evolution Sage on board is going to absolutely finish us. I mean, I guess they're running out of lands to proliferate with, but still, just getting a single 1/1 flyer is going to do us in. And that does that guaranteed. Even if they don't do any proliferating. It's a Deadly Alliance to kill the Evolution Sage so that the Virtuoso just gets them 1 flyer and that's it forever. And also they don't have a 9/8 anymore. So then I can try to start maybe getting a trample attack in once every turn. Sure, I have to kill it before their first main phase because I can't respond to them playing a land. So if they play a land, they get the proliferate trigger number 1. Alright. We'll use it now. Take 1 damage in the turn, 1 damage every turn in the sky. They technically mill out faster than... Well, now they definitely mill out faster than they kill us in the sky. But also they can reanimate something from a grave. Mana value 2 or less, so they probably kill us faster. I don't know what they're reanimating, but I can't stop them, so we'll see what it is. Mana value 2 or less. Moss Viper, yeah. Sure. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9. Oh, they didn't attack with the flyer. 10, 11 attacking creatures on the ground. I think they will have enough creatures to kill us if they just attack with everybody later. Especially if they had chipped in with the flyer right now. So I'll take everything I can get. The fact that they didn't chip in with the flyer this turn is a big help. Don't need more discard left in my deck, do I? It's just a Skittering Surveyor and a Ranger's Guile. Skittering Surveyor, Ranger's Guile, and a land are all that I have left. Well, we're fully on the mill train, and there's no reason to scry into a Skittering Surveyor or a Ranger's Guile, I think. So we're just going to draw blind, spend all our mana on making our blocks as good as possible. I'm 1 mana off from the double buff with Dawnheart Mentor, which is kind of a big deal. Yeah, this is pretty bad, especially if their card in hand is a non-land. So we definitely need to kill the skeletons, otherwise, again, next turn they're going to have 4, which means they're going to have 4 4/1s with trample, which is just not going to be beatable. So we need to go 1/2s on the skeletons to stop all the trample damage and kill those. 3/1. Probably need to kill the menace, go 3/1 and 2/2 there. 3/1 onto 3/2. 1/1 onto 2/1. 0/4 onto 2/2. Take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go to 3. Lose most of my creatures. I have like 3 creatures left next turn. Yeah, they're gonna kill me in multiple swings here. Pretty easily. If I trade things off 1 for 1 instead. Then I take 5 here and I'm dying to like menace pretty easily. Oh. There's almost definitely a better block here. Not good at finding it though. Just do this. See what kind of Nightmare Fuel spell they have in their hand. God, I wish I had 1 more mana. I could buff and save 2 of these creatures, it would be so good. Alright, they had a trick. I got 2 cards left, of course. Of course. Alright, well. I mean, I can't put it in the graveyard or I mill out first. But I just die because I didn't get to kill the menace card now. I'm pretty sure I would have died anyway. So if I did manage to kill the Menace card, if I did have the Ranger's Guile, then here I'd have 3 blockers. At 3 life, I go block, block, block. I still take 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I would still be dead. Bummer. And that's just gonna do it. I think still a good sign for our deck overall. Even if it is a loss in the end, they had a skeletal swarming on their board for like 10 plus turns and still almost milled out before they found the kill. So, alright, there goes our 40-minute long game of Magic to get things started. I guess we'll be starting off 0-1 as we head into round 2. Here we are on the play for round 2. Got all of our colors here, which is excellent. Cohort is going to get us started on turn 4, so the hand is definitely slower, but we've got very good late game plays, multiple removal spells, got the Macabre Waltz there for some graveyard recursion later. Drop our turn 1 Tranquil Expanse, see what's up from them. They got a Forest down turn 1. And here comes a Harvest-Tide Sentry for 2 mana 3/1. Do draw into a Sanitarium Skeleton here. So I've got a blocker set up. Until they hit Coven, then this won't be able to be blocked by our small creatures. Goblin Smuggler hits the board, starts jamming in for 2 a turn. And we missed the land drop here, so we gotta dig with Tishana's Wayfinder. It's not a land, it's going in the grave. It's not a land. Get in the grave. If they play a 1 power or a 4 power creature here, they will have Coven and they can attack past the Sanitarium Skeleton, which would be a little annoying. We'll see what they've got. You want to combat trick my Wayfinder, that's pretty chill with me. Alright, giant growth for Wayfinder, 1-for-1 trade, we'll take it. And that's their whole turn. Feels pretty good. Unfortunately, we still don't hit a land after surveilling a non-land out of the way, so we don't do anything. Oops. Just trying to click the spacebar to speed run through the turns. I hate how spacebar auto attacks with everybody sometimes. Keep sending in the smuggler. Down to 16. There's a Vengeful Rebel, just a 3/2, since none of their permanents left the battlefield. Well, Skittering Surveyor does find us the 4th land. I'm gonna grab another Swamp, because I do have a Murder in this deck, and I think that's the only double black card. I think that's the only double colored card in general. I don't think there's any double green. I guess there is the 1 Blossom Prancer. Vengeful Rebel coming in hot. Could go for the double block there, wouldn't be horrible. There's a Contagious Vorak now. I really like how our blocks stack up once we get the Cohort down though, because Cohort can 1-for-1 trade into something and then I can block another card with a 1/1 and a 1/2. I guess I could still do that after double blocking here, but not if they had like a good combat trick potentially. Could play Rendhorn, but it's going to be better to get the Cohort down and have more blockers. Send in the Rebel and the Vorak. Let's try to do our thing here. And I guess 2/1/2s is better than 1/1/1/2 since they're not attacking with the 2/2. Yeah, let's see their tricks they were trying to play on us last turn. No tricks, maybe a revolt card that really wanted them to lose a creature. Nope. Just onboard trades, alright. This is land number 6 of 7 for Boulder Branch Golem, which is a pretty big deal. Could bring back the cohort, get another 1/1 and hold up final payment. Or I can just play a 5/5 Rendhorn as a blocker. And I don't have the mana up to hold any removal alongside it. 1/2 and 2/1/1s, how good is that at blocking? We can throw Skeleton and a 1/1 under the guest so it doesn't trample over at all, and then we don't really have blockers elsewhere. Yeah, that's not great blocks. Let's just get the 5/5. There's the Rumbling Rock Slide to kill the 5/5, and we do not have excellent blocks here. They attack with multiple creatures. If they attack with just one, we can like trade some stuff into it and be fine, but sending multiple creatures in, yeah, like so, means they're going to get a good amount of damage in here. Okay, just send in these two. I think we kill the guest, stop the blood token. Could kill the smuggler and only lose one creature. If they have a trick here, then we couldn't have done any blocks well. And they do. They've got a lightning axe. Yes, super devastating. And we do not hit land 7 for Boulder Branch Golem. Can play Dawnheart Mentor and Final Payment. That's probably where I'm at. Our 1/1 blocks the sentry, our 0/4 blocks their 3/2. Could shoot myself in the face for 5 to shoot something, but we're probably going to sack a creature to the payment later. Again, our position isn't looking great, but as soon as we hit land 7 and resolve a Boulder Branch Golem, that can completely flip things around, potentially going up to like 16. Oh, God. Never mind. Now we're still going to be in a really bad spot because that is not just like one beefy creature. If it was one beefy creature, we'd be fine. But it's 2 creatures off 1 card to really expand their board state, plus trigger the Coven here, so we can't even block the Harvesttide Sentry. That's completely filthy. I might be in a position I have to sack Dawnheart Mentor, since it's got 0 power anyway. I mean, I guess our 1/1 doesn't help too much regardless. If I kill the Manticore, they won't have Coven next turn, theoretically. And the 1/1 blocks the 3/1. We pray for land 7, we don't find land 7. It's like 3 turns in a row where it would have been absolutely pivotal to hit that land. Flip things around for us. Wait, waltz time? Now they're just going to smuggle in 2 damage a turn. I think I need multiple ways to get 2 creatures on the board off 1 card again. So we can block their 3-1 with a 1-1, block their 3-2 trample with a 3-1. Man, we can't do a lot here. Yep, they're just going to start unblockabling the 2-2 in here, plus getting in for trample damage because they can. Nope, they're not going to get in for trample damage. They're going to play a Volshot Splitter though. Just more gas, and we hit a tap land. Oh. Okay. I mean, now I'm just dead. I guess I had to, at this point, just play the Boulder Branch as a 3-3 when I know I can play it bigger next turn. Because now they can just make a 2-2 unblockable and then put the splitter on it and put me down to 1 off of that alone. So they don't have to do a lot to just kill me here. Smuggler plus splitters. Absurd. I guess maybe just Deadly Alliance the Smuggler was better, but then I have 2 less creatures. I have 3 creatures total on block, which is still a really bad spot. I don't know. There were a lot of other possible lines here, but I'm not seeing anything that's putting us anywhere close to living over time. Generally speaking. Now if they start just missing on their draws, if they just hit a couple lands in a row, then we can play Skeleton and Deadly Alliance the Smuggler and actually have a stable board state to start trying to flip things around with Dawnheart Mentor's ability. They hit almost any kind of gas though. Be pretty dead. Skittering Surveyor. Get in for 4 again. We kill the Smuggler, drop a Sanitarium Skeleton, and pass. I don't quite have enough mana to scry with Silver Quill Campus and play Jukai Preserver in the same turn. So I will not be scrying in my upkeep. Ardent Dust Speaker now. Drop a Generous Stray. Draw a card, find another land. Can we block by power 2 or less for Harvesttide Sentry? I've got Golem and Cohort that can block that. Do I just Preserver the counter onto itself? Have a 4-4, or do I like up Generous Stray to a 2-3? I think having a 2-3 on board's pretty good. We'll do that. Pass from there. Relentless Pursuit to dig for a couple creatures and lands in the top 4. They find 2 lands. So they just get to pick 1 land up. So Riveteer's Overlook it is, which will filter out another land from their deck. with murder up, I think I am at the point where I get to start getting trample damage in and trying to flip this around. 4, 5, 6. Got exactly enough. Put them down to 12, pass turn. Could murder the Dust Speaker before they go to combat so they don't potentially get a draw 2 off of it, but I think we just let it come in if they attack. Kill it and try to just murder whatever they draw into. I'm gonna kill the Dawnheart Mentor here. I think I murder in response to this for the 2-for-1. And they are gonna jam in the Dust Speaker. Finds 2 more creatures, a big Trampler and a Haster with fire breathing. So that's a bummer. They kill our 3/3 if I do this. Believe that is worth it. Okay, play the gigantic Trampler. Send in the Boulder Branch. Do I survive the crackback if I buff right now? Monstrosity is a 7 power Trampler. I need 7 toughness and 3 more blockers. Here's my 3 more blockers. I've got 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 toughness. I do. I survive more easily without buffing here, but buffing here makes sure we can kill them in like 2 swings. Yeah, I mean, I just put a Dawnheart Mentor on Belligerent Guest, a 1/1 on each of their 2/2s, and then Generous Stray, Cohort, and Skeleton. That's a good draw. Never mind. Just the removal for the Mentor. Makes our blocks significantly worse. Does it kill us this turn? It might. I think not quite. So I still block both the 2/2s with 1/1s. They have 10 trampling power. I'm guessing it kills us if they do this. They must have done the math. Stop all 5, stop 2. That's exact lethal. Wow, they top decked into literal exact lethal. If they were 1 damage off, we get to keep getting those Boulder Branch attacks in and whittling down the board. The cohort unearth here. Wow. I'm trying to see if there's anything else I can do to move this around, but it's not going to change the numbers at all. 1/1s are the smallest creatures I have. I can't put any more toughness onto trample. Bummer. Here we are, starting off 0-2, heading into game 3. These games are going to look much faster to you all, but still going to look like very long games. But I'm going to edit out the dead air of our opponents thinking through their turns. For me, I am 1 hour and 30 minutes into today's recording session, and I've played 2 games of Magic. So I've played 2 like 40-minute games in a row just to lose both games. So today's going about as badly as it can right now. So hopefully we can find some wins here to start turning things around, because if I'm gonna 0-3 and get beaten down, I'd at least like to not have to play like an hour worth of losing games in a row when I 0-3. Alright, cheetah's annoying. Is it annoying enough to just murder the cheetah? Otherwise they kill my 1/1 for free. I do have a final payment later, so I will still have more removal. I think it is annoying enough to do that. Expedition Diviner. There's the white source for final payment. That's pretty real. So that's a 3/2 flyer. If they get another wizard on the board, then it'll draw them a card when it dies. Shauna's Wayfinder. Could just payment the Diviner to get in with everybody, but it's only for like 1 more damage that I'm getting in for anyway. So I think I'd rather just play Wayfinder and hold up payment. Do find another land. I'll hold on to it with Macabre Waltz in the hand. I guess we have a 6-mana Dawnheart Mentor ability, so I should probably play it next turn. I do have the full Coven. I have 0, 1, and 2 power creatures on board now. Boop the Diviner at this point. Nah, I can outrace it right now still. At least their other creature's just an illusion, it's not a wizard. Don't have anything else I really want to do with my mana right now, so we'll Dawnheart Mentor to save the Wayfinder. Put them down to 8. There's a Demon's Disciple. Not super good on this board. It just kills our 1/1. Actually, probably should have sacked Skeleton. It's slightly better on board, but it can actually come back, whereas the 1/1 token can't. If for 4. If for 5, if I Berserker something up. Probably are Berserkering aggressively now. Because this is lethal if they don't have interaction, and they're just going to scoop. Okay. Yeah, we play the land so that I can pre-combat Berserker into +3/+3 on somebody that's 5, and then +3/+3 is 8 for exact lethal, and they just scoop them up for us, so they did not have instant speed interaction. We did find a victory, and it was infinitely faster than all the games we lost so far. We are now 1-2 as we head into game number 4. Alright, here we are for game 4. Slower hand, definitely need to hit 1 land, but if we hit that 1 land, having the Wayfinder to dig for more lands is helpful. Plus, even if we don't find those more lands immediately, we have the Thriving Rhino and Wayfinder for 2 plays while we're waiting. We are just finding all of our lands immediately, so I'm just going to Thriving Rhino first and go for maximum damage output immediately. We are playing against a blue-red deck with a Frost Trickster, a very good flyer from our opponent. Send in the Frost Trickster, we take 2 in the sky. And they probably counter the Jukai Preserver, but then Rendhorn resolves. Nope, no counter. I'm going to put the +1/+1 on the Preserver itself. I don't want to put all my eggs into one Rhino basket. So a 3/4 and a 4/4, they can only deal with one of them with a removal spell. with a 1-for-1 removal spell. Take 2 damage from Frost Trickster again. There's an Echo Inspector. Just straight up blue-red flyers. Flyers are a very legitimate strategy in these mixed up Premier drafts. And Maximize Altitude. They just took everything that said flying on it. That's spooky. Spooky, scary, not good. So we need to try to outrace the flyers, so I'm just hasting out a 4-4 and jamming in. They block the Rhino, we deal 8 damage, put them to 10. There is a black source for them. So they are on blue, red, and black. They're on Grixis over there. I will take 5 damage in the sky. We're going to go down to 11 life here on board. But they are also going to Moon Snare Specialist. Gross. Oh my god. Moon Snare Specialist with Frost Trickster? Thank god they didn't put those 2 cards in the same format in Neon Dynasty, because that is a really, really strong play pattern. Bounce one of our creatures and tap and lock down another, and now it's just going to be impossible to race here. I did draw into a 2-mana creature, so now I can play a 2-drop creature and a 4-drop creature going for the race. We're taking 5 next turn, we're at 11. Taking 8, I guess, because of the Maximize Altitude they can recast. Yeah, we do try to race here, I think. Still. Rise of Extus just isn't going to be good enough to not die in 2 swings still. Keeps the Deadly Alliance. So if we Rise of Extus to the Echo Inspector, we still take 5 in the sky if they maximize altitude. And they're not going to maximize altitude. Go Hobbling Zombie on the ground. It's pretty annoying. They're at 6 life. If any 2 of these creatures get in, they die, but I don't have the mana to play 2 removal spells, so I have to hope they don't have any interaction and 1 is good enough. So we go Rise of Extus, because that can exile their card from grave as well. We hope it's good enough. It's good enough. No interaction from our opponent, and we're now 2-2. The wins go so much faster than the losses. We've evened it all out here now. Just need to get 1 more win to not feel super bad about the draft, because the difference between a 2-win and a 3-win run is pretty massive. At 2 wins, you only get 250 gems. At 3, you get 1,000 back. So next game is worth 750 gems. So let's cross our fingers and play our hardest here as we head into round number 5. And here we are for round 5. Pretty excellent hand. If I draw 1 land, then we get the Skittering Surveyor, and we're all set up. We've got all of our colors. We get to play a Jukai Preserver soon. Lots of good stuff there. Alright, did not hit the land immediately, but we still have another draw step to do so. Traveling Minister for our opponent. Really good aggressive start for them. Recruitment Officer plus Minister. Missed the land, but we draw another card that can pull a land out of our deck. Or at least dig towards a land. With the Surveil ability. If I miss another land drop, we might just get destroyed by the Shuffler Gods. But hopefully missing just this 1 land drop was not completely deadly. Oh, it might be. Ruin Raider is a super big deal, draws them an extra card every turn. So we found our land. It was our third draw this game. But yeah, as long as they keep attacking, they keep drawing additional cards and just really go for maximum pressure. What on earth is this thing that they drew into, by the way? Exile all creatures with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard till it leaves the battlefield. For 2 mana they tap it, they can cast a creature from among the exiled cards. So they play it later in the game, and they basically draw every cheap creature that they had again. Wow, alright. Removal for Wayfinder means they get to attack with Ruin Raider, draw another card. They're just drawing 2 cards a turn every turn. Well, we hit final payment. Oh, we don't have the white source until I play Surveyor. And we didn't find land 4 even after surveilling non-land for Wayfinder. Ay, ay, ay. Game would have been an uphill battle if we hit every land drop. Not sure it's winnable. Missing a couple here. Ruin Raider is beating us up and taking our lunch money. They've already drawn 2 extra cards off of it. It's time for draw number 3, turning Ruin Raider into a 4-for-1 at this point. Good cards are definitely good. And finally, final payment, the Ruin Raider, but I don't have the mana to play anything else alongside it. Final payment, the Raider, and I have 1 creature left on this board. I guess it's better to try to actually block and trade into it. We should play Preserver so we have multiple creatures that are big enough to trade into the Ruin Raider. So that they can't just like removal spell the Cohort if I try to play that and trade into Ruin Raider. But now they could just attack with everybody other than the Ruin Raider and still draw the cards. There's the removal. And they attack with everybody. Since I played around the removal, I do get to kill the Ruin Raider, but I still take 6, go to 4. And we are still incapable of drawing lands. Alright, there's no plays we can make to not die this turn. The best I can do is Cohort for 2 blockers. Take Exact Seize, because I block these 2, and take 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, well, Ruin Raider is a hell of a card. That would have been super hard to beat regardless, and we also drew just really badly, unfortunately. Our hand had a bit of risk in the keep, but I think it was a super fair 2-lander keep with the 3-drop plays that it had there, but we did not draw land 3 in the top 2 cards, so we missed out on playing a card then we missed out on land 4 even after playing several cards to help dig for it, and it all just became really insurmountable really quickly. Again, without like super cheap removal to kill the Ruin Raider, it would have been super hard to win that game regardless, so I don't even know if a mulligan into like a pretty great 6-card hand could have gotten there, but alright. At least we did not 0-3 today. We got a pretty nice recovery after those first 2 losses, and the final 3 games took half as long as the first 2 games did individually, so that's pretty nice to at least not have to have a super long drawn out game. So here's another look at the deck. I don't think this deck was bad at all. I think we just had some rough matchups for sure, some rough draws, especially in that final game. Definitely showing off the variance of the mixed up Premier Draft formats. It's really hard to build any kind of like super consistent strategies. So a lot of it does come down to individual card quality, especially bomb rares. They will take you a very, very far way. As you could tell today, a couple of our losses for sure, due to some stuff like Ruin Raider absolutely demolishing us and us not really having anything near that quality. So not having any great like bomb rares in this deck was the biggest hindrance, I would say, to it as a whole. We've got a good amount of removal. We've got a ton of 2-for-1s. One of the other biggest issues is the need to hit that 3 mana, as we saw there in that last game. Getting stuck on 2 mana is pretty bad in the deck, but we've got 17 lands in here. We have potential Surveil. We have Blanchwood Prowler that draws a land. Once we make it to 3 mana, we have Surveyor to draw a land, Wayfinder to dig for a land, Generous Stray to draw a card. I don't think it was greedy at all to run 17 lands here, just didn't pan out perfectly for us. Again, I think this deck was pretty solid on paper, so unfortunate to see it go 2 and 3, but at least we did get to get a nice recovery there after those first couple losses. And hopefully in the future we can open up some pretty spicy bombs and try to beat people with our own Skeletal Scrying and Ruin Raider style cards. But for now, we'll be on the other side of the table. We are the villains, and we will face our defeat at 2 and 3 in today's draft. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you're interested in seeing some more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link or the join button below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.